Good morning, students. This should be a memorable day because we had 2 days of Baha and in between the cricket match also, and that should be one. Right? So I'm sure you guys must have enjoyed yesterday evening. So are your cars ready? Who are the captains here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, captain, stand up. So what is the status of your car? Can you give the mic to them? Tell me the name of your college and the name of the team also.
Morning, sir. My college name is Jaipur JCRC College. Team Riders. We are working on the vehicles.
So is the roll cage ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you got all the parts?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And what about IPG Carmaker?
Our teammates working on everything.
Okay. Thank you. You can give the mic to him.
Morning, sir. We are Dirt Devils from IPG Carmaker University, and our roll cage is not yet ready, sir, because the materials are not available right now. But IPG Carmaker is in work in progress. Yeah.
Who is your mentor?
Mentor.
Is any mentor assigned to you from Baha?
Yes, Mohammed Shaki. His name is
Mohammed
Shaki.
And you are E-Baha or N-Baha?
E-Baha.
Revant? Where is Revant? Yeah. जरा देख लो मोहम्मद शकील से बात करो कुछ हुआ नहीं है इधर. So you need the tubes. You need help in buying the tube, or what is the problem?
Sir, actually, we need help with the tubes because the minimum thickness is 3 mm. So we are only getting 2 mm or 1 mm pipes. So that's the problem.
Okay, fine.
3 mm pipes are not available anywhere.
Fine, sir. Revant, जरा देख लो मोहम्मद शकील को बोल के. They must know the vendor who is supplying this tube.
Yes.
Okay, fine. You can also talk to Revant later on. Fine. Yes. Here.
Good morning, sir. We are Team Silence from Nirma University, Ahmedabad. So our roll cage,
Nirma.
yes, sir. Our roll cage is complete, and we are now doing the suspension geometry, and we are producing the suspension arms. And in IPG Carmaker, the testing of the car has been done, but we are improving the data we need to input in IPG Carmaker to make the car work. So yeah.
Any issue with IPG car?
So that's why we're trying to attend the
Okay,
workshop.
so today, just before lunch, RUTURAJ Patil will be talking about it, and you can ask as many questions as you want there.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. We are Team Nisha from GH Raisoni, College of Engineering, Nagpur. And we have received the material for roll cage, but it was delayed, and we have just started manufacturing it. And order the part like wheel assembly and complete power. We are doing parts for the first.
For the first time. Yes. Very good. I think your counterpart in Pune is doing EVA for the first time.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Any other captains who have just come? Yeah.
Good morning, sir. We are from Team Tachyon 6.0, IPG Engineering College, Karnataka, sir. Actually, we are participating in Ambaha, sir. And the roll cage work is going on, sir. They are manufacturing it. We have already ordered all the parts. We received some of them, and some of them are coming, sir.
And IPG Carmaker?
Yes, sir. They are doing, sir.
Very good. Yeah. Here, you can give mic behind you. Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, sir. We are from team IPS Printers Indore. Currently, we are
Which college in Indore?
IPS Academy Institute.
IPS. Okay.
Yes, sir. Testing phase of our vehicle is going on. We had completed our vehicle of Mbaha, and some team members is working on the IPG Carmaker, and some team members are working on the phase 2.
So vehicle is ready.
Yeah, vehicle is ready. Testing is going on.
You had participated last year also?
No, sir. This year we are new team for Mbaha. And previous year we had participated in EVA, and that year we are one team, and one team is going to participate in EM and as well as EVA.
Very good, excellent.
This is Siddharth Sharma, captain of EBA, IPS printer, sir.
Okay.
So, sir, our vehicle is ready for testing. Sir, everything is ready almost, but there is some problem in our powertrain system, so we are figuring it out.
Good, good, very good. So we have some time tomorrow. When are you reaching back tomorrow? Back to the college? Can we come and see your vehicle tomorrow morning?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Tomorrow early morning?
Yes, sir.
Because we are going to Indore today evening.
Sir, Mbaha vehicle, na?
Anything is fine.
Haan, sir, Mbaha vehicle is ready.
Fine. Then we will come tomorrow morning.
Sure, sir.
8 o'clock, 8:30.
Sir, a bit late.
Check करके बोलो. हाँ, check and let me know.
Yes, sir. Actually, we will have to inform our faculty advisor and the mentor from the college.
Please inform.
Then I will inform.
Ask them to contact us.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Last team? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Sir, we are team influencers from Agro College Institute. Currently, we are working on the manufacturing of the roll cage.
EVA.
EVA.
Okay.
And simultaneously, we are working on the phase 2 as well as the IPG Carmaker.
So last year you were EVA, right?
Yes, sir.
And before that it was EVA.
Yes, sir.
So now you're back to EVA.
Yes, sir. Last year we also participated in EVA.
So you did both the vehicles.
Yes.
This time also you're doing both the vehicles?
No, sir. We are only doing EVA and EVA.
Oh, achha, right. Very good. Good. So I think we still don't have all the team members, but we will start. We cannot wait for a long time. So we'll start with the presentation. Yesterday we saw design, how to do the design, how to make a design report, and what are the various documents to be submitted in the month of November for the design evaluation. And then we also saw how design evaluation is done. Now the next step is, during design, what can you do so that the failure doesn't happen at site? So when you are taking the vehicle to the site for EBAHA or MBAHA, even when you transport your vehicle by truck and it reaches there and you unload the vehicle, that time also you'll see a lot of parts have loosened up, the nuts and bolts have loosened up, कहाँ तो शायद crack भी develop हो गया है, कहाँ तो टूट भी गया है. So the first requirement is you must know how to hold that vehicle in the truck. So what type of anchoring you will do so that the vehicle does not vibrate? You can imagine that the truck is going on the highway at a very high speed and the entire vehicle is jumping inside. So how can you anchor your vehicle on the truck so that the vehicle does not jump? So whatever is the terrain on which the truck will go, the same inputs will come to this vehicle and it will maybe behave in an altogether different way. And that is also one of the maintenance of the vehicle. But you cannot afford to do that. It is more than 4 hours most of the time because you are coming from far away distance. So that is one tip which I want to give, because I have seen many teams, when the vehicle reaches Pithampur or the site, they find that a lot of things have happened there. Some parts have failed also. So be careful related to that. And it's always advisable that one team member goes with the truck. अगर 3 गाड़ी है तो 3 team member भी जा सकते हैं, but one team member must be there with the truck, otherwise you don't know what is happening with the vehicle. So we need to find out where can the failure happen. So failure we can find out where it happens by experience. Last 3-4 साल से अगर आपकी टीम काम कर रही है या आपके पास वाली कॉलेज की टीम काम कर रही है, you can talk to them and find out कहाँ गाड़ी फेल होती है. और prepare the list of failure. That is the best thing. Talk to all your friends here and say कि आपका गाड़ी कहाँ फेल हुआ था, आपका गाड़ी कहाँ फेल हुआ था, and write down all the possible failures which may happen. ब्रेक में फेल हुआ, सस्पेंशन टूट गया, स्टीयरिंग में कुछ फेल हुआ, ये सब क्या फेल हुआ? You must ask them specific questions and write down. So make a list of the hopper of all the failures which has happened. Once you know that, then you can look into those and then ensure कि ये अगर ये failure होने वाला है, तो मैं डिजाइन में ऐसा क्या करूं कि failure ना हो. Right? So that is what is design FMEA. Indirectly, that is what I want to say. Similarly, once you know that the following failures are going to take place, and there are very high chances of failure because other teams or our previous car has passed through this, then I will do my design as good as possible to avoid those failures. But in spite of that, I am not sure whether my design is good or not, or whatever precautions I have taken, like changing the manufacturing process or improving, using a better material, all this would help. But still I am not sure, so I need to do validation. So what are the areas which I must positively, physically test those parts to ensure that whatever design I have done is really good and the parts are not failing. And hence, you can make a small test rig. For example, you can take 4 posters and put that entire Baha vehicle on the poster, and those 4 posters can vibrate and the entire vehicle will vibrate. That's what we do at AREI. That is, if you just type on Google 4 poster simulation, you will come to know. But it's a very costly method. For that, you have to first acquire the data and then simulate that data in a lab. So actually the vehicle is not running on road, the vehicle is in the lab, but it is still vibrating in that mode. So that is validation. So with this background, what is design FMEA and what is design validation, we'll move ahead. So when you do design, there are various stages. And this all stages of design are captured by big 3, that is Ford, General Motors and Chrysler in USA. They decided, so even though they are competitor, they decided that they will pool hands and they will make a document called new product development. So under new product development NPD, they said there must be 5 stages of design review. At every stage, we'll sit down and discuss that whether the design is correct or not and whether we need to do something more. So you make a concept, you can make 2-3 concepts of your roll kit, like that you can make 2-3 concepts of your design, and then do a simulation like IPG Carmaker or any other simulation to find out which is the best design and use that concept to do further simulation, and then do a design, make a prototype, or do some validation, that means do a trial run, then do the initial production. You don't have to do mass production because you are making only one vehicle. So that is how industry works. And we also talked about capturing the voice of the customer during design. Like judge itself can be a customer or your faculty can be a customer. You need to find out some imaginary customers and then do this. So you can capture the voice of customer and then convert them into technical requirements. You can also do benchmarking of other teams and then design your design targets. So design targets or manufacturing targets or performance target is what you need to finalize. And then once your targets are designed and you can do the risk analysis, find out failures kahan hota hai, and we will do design FMEA today to show you how do we do the risk analysis, which has higher risk and which has lower risk. Maybe top 20% of the risk you can take and then take action on that. So that is FMEA. So in this entire new product development, FMEA comes at this bottom, and that becomes a very, very important tool to ensure that failures are minimum. Okay. So we need to look at our vehicle. So this is not just only for Baha. Even in future, if you do design, if you are a startup, from 3 areas. One is from business, one is from design, and third is from manufacturing. So from business point of view, what failures can happen, or what we need to do from design point of view. From design point of view, what we need to do, and from process or manufacturing point of view, what we need to do. What type of business idea we must have, what type of feasibility study we must do, what type of design and validation we must do, and then what type of vendors you must have. So you have not designed those parts and you have got it from a vendor. You may get a ready-made suspension assembly or a brake assembly or a steering assembly, but then whether that part is correct or not, वो vendor ने आपको जो supply किया वो भी fail हो सकता है. So how do you check that? So there is a process called PPAP, part process approval. You don't have to do that, but I just want you to know that in future when you buy from product, you have to do inspection at their end. So when those parts are coming to your place, you can go to their place, do all the inspection, certify, then only allow him to dispatch it or you can bring it to your place. Those places, those parts come to your place, and then later on, if you find that it has failed, it's all, he will not agree. Sir, मैंने तो भेज दिया, मेरा काम हो गया, and he has already got the money. So these are all important aspects which you must understand. Okay, fine. So for product point of view, we have to make a concept, we have to finalize the design, and then we need to do verification and validation. I'll tell you what is the difference between verification and validation. And similarly, from process point of view or manufacturing or assembly point of view, again, there will be concept verification and validation. So let's go ahead. So what you do for product is called product FMEA, PFMEA, and what you do from manufacturing or process point of view is called, what you do from product point of view is DFMEA, design FMEA, and what you do from manufacturing point of view or process point of view becomes PFMEA. So design FMEA and process FMEA, both needs to be done. So FMEA means failure mode and effect analysis. It's a paper and pencil analysis method used in engineering to document and explore ways that a product design might fail in real world use and find solution to reduce the risk. So in FMEA, there has to be certain inputs and there has to be an outcome out of it. So in the input, what would you put? So whatever brainstorming you have done, whatever process map or design themes you have prepared. For example, you will decide I will do two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. So that is one of the design theme. So then you do FMEA only on four-wheel drive if you have decided to make only four-wheel drive. Process history, procedures, knowledge, experience. So design FMEA is not done alone, it is done in a team. So at least 4 or 5 people have to sit together. In industry, the designer, the quality control guy, the purchase guy, the marketing guy, the assembly guy, the manufacturing guy, they all sit together into design FMEA because if everyone have a different viewpoint which needs to be considered. Then the design FMEA comes and the output gives you the list of action to prevent causes or detect failure modes and history of actions are taken into account. So inputs are your failures. So what can be the input? Lesson learned can be one input where last year where your vehicle has failed, that must be positively taken in FMEA. Or you must have seen many teams must have come across failure. Those failures also if you want, you can add. And that becomes the list of failure which is the input to design FMEA. At the end of the design FMEA, you will find out which are the risky areas where you need to tackle. So the output of design FMEA becomes the input to DBP. And the output of failure analysis or lesson learned becomes the input to design FMEA. So when you give your presentation, the judges is looking at your first slide talks about lesson learned and failure, and there you say that my gearbox has failed. But when you do design FMEA, you are not talking about gearbox at all. Then you have not taken that. So there was no point doing a lesson learned if you are not going to use it for design FMEA. So I told you we can do design FMEA, we can do process FMEA. Design FMEA is much more important for you than process FMEA because process you are going to make only one product. But in industry, process FMEA is very important because mass production is being done. Okay. So how can the design system, process or service fail? What is the effect and how serious is the effect? What are the causes of the failure? So you need to do causes and consequences of those probable failures. Remember, failures may take place, failure may not take place. You are assuming that failures will take place, and to ensure that if the failure takes place, what type of design methodology you will have, and how will you make your vehicle more safer so that the failure doesn't happen at all. is your task in design FMEA. So it's a hypothetical failure, and if that failure happens, what is the effect, why it is happening, and what is the cause, what will be the consequence if that failure happens. How likely is the occurrence of failure? Can we prevent causes of this failure? How easy it is to detect the cause, and how can we minimize the risk of failure? So this is what is the entire design FMEA cycle. Okay. So before that, you need to make a block diagram. So for example, I'm taking engine as a block diagram. So then this is an H-Baha engine, which I have taken as a block diagram. Then from somewhere the fuel is coming, from somewhere the air is coming, the lubrication system is required, the cooling system is required. So they become the peripherals of this interface. And the interface can have passing of physical like air, water, coolant, or it can be just passing of energy, or it can be material directly, indirectly. So based on that, the block diagram is done. But we are concentrating in engine only. So the failure of engine, if I am concentrating, these are the supporting items. We are not interested of failure of this part. We are only interested in failure of this engine. So accordingly, you can draw the block diagram. So this is the final table of design FMEA. This is available on Baha website, and preferably you must use this format. There are different formats available on the internet, but you have to ensure that there are three important columns: severity, occurrence, and detection. These are the three important columns which must be there. So severity is how severe the effect is, right? That is severity. Only if a particular component fails, then the car will stop. Then that is called severe. But it can be further severe that if an accident takes place. It can be further severe if it does not obey any, like emission will increase, noise will increase, or vehicle will become unsafe. Then you give the number 9 or 10. Higher the severity, higher the effect, higher is the number. We will see those numbers. Then comes the occurrence, how often this failure is happening. So you are driving that vehicle for 100 kilometers, 200, Sanjay Nibale says minimum 500 kilometers you must run before you come to the site. So if you are running for 500 and the same failure is happening again and again, then you know that its occurrence is very high. So the number will be low. Then comes the detection. Once you do a design, you are design from 2 points of view, from prevention point of view and from detection point of view. So from prevention point of view is what design improvement you can do so that the failure will not happen at all. That is called prevention. Or what system will I put up so that I will come to know that the failure is happening or the failure has happened. Sometimes we are running the car, some failures may happen, but we don't know it is happening because the driver is busy running the car. So maybe there is an indicator on the dashboard which says, "Abhi tire ka pressure kam ho gaya hai, you need to fill up the tire, air in that, otherwise the tire may get punctured." So if you can get some indication like the lubricating oil indication, or whether the battery is working or not, or whether the tire pressure is okay or not, that you can see on your dashboard. Similarly, you can see whether the temperature is increased or not in the battery. So that also can come in the BMS. So all that which you can see, for which there is a sensor, a temperature sensor or a pressure sensor, then that is good. And that is the way to detect that the failure is going to happen or the failure is happening. So design controls are two ways, from prevention point of view and from detection point of view. And how good is that design that you will come to know that the failure is going to happen, then the number is less. And if you cannot predict and failure happens and you still are running that vehicle, then the number will be higher. So I gave you this example of 3 numbers, which I will show you in the subsequent slide. Now, till preliminary Baha, you are supposed to fill up till here. So if the failures are there, what are the recommended action and who will do it and what is the last phase? This last 5 column actions taken based on the recommendation, and this 4 will be done only once your vehicle is ready. So if your vehicle is not ready in preliminary Baha, or your vehicle is not ready in virtual Baha 1st, 2nd and 3rd December, don't fill this up. Is it clear? don't fill this up if your vehicle is not ready before 1st December. If your vehicle is ready and before 1st December, have you done some virtual test or physical test? Only then you can fill up this. Otherwise, you need not fill this up. So many teams during pre-fill this up, that means they have not done anything. They have not understood what is required to be done. Once your vehicle is ready and validation is done, only then you can fill up those. So this is the first part of design FMEA, except this 5 column or 4 columns. Then you do DVP, then you do all the testing as per DVP, and then come back again to find out whether severity, occurrence, and detection has gone down or not. And if it has gone down, your risk has reduced. So this year we have changed the pattern in design FMEA. You don't have to do everything. More you do, better it is for you. But you have to take minimum 2 from this. You have to take minimum 5 from this, and so on. So all of these are given in the design guidelines, and accordingly, those parts you must positively do FMEA. The same thing which I told you, you must find out the occurrence, you must find out the detection, you must find out the severity, OSD. We call it as SODs, severity, occurrence, and detection, and multiply all 3 together, you will get SOD. So quickly, so severity, occurrence, and detection. You multiply those 3 numbers, you get risk priority number. So what is the range of this 3 number? Severity, occurrence, and detection. It varies from 1 to 10. Minimum is 1. There is no 0, because if you add 0, then the multiplication becomes 0. So it has to be between 1 and 10. If it is very severe, then it is 10. If it is less severe, it is 1. For example, गाड़ी को scratch हो गया, then it is 1. गाड़ी का discoloration हो गया, it is 2. If it is discomfort to the customer, it is 3, 4, 5. But if it is something which is unsafe, then it is 9 and 10. So that is severity. So if this is between 1 and 10, this is between 1 and 10, and this is between 1 and 10, what would be the minimum RPM and what would be the maximum RPM? 1 to 1,000. So please ensure your severity has to be between 1 to 1,000. Anything which is more than 200 needs to be tackled. That is the thumb rule. Okay, I go back. So occurrence, how many times it is occurring? So if it is in 1,000 vehicles, it happens 1 time, then it is 4. But this table does not hold good for you because you are making only 1 vehicle. This is for mass production. If a company makes millions of vehicles, and then out of 1,000, if 1 fails, then the occurrence is 4. So you can decide, you can have your own table to decide what should be the number, but the number has to be between 1 and 10. Severity, I told you that fit, finish, color will have lower number, and inconvenience, driver is not satisfied, will become 5, 6, and then vehicle is partially inoperable, will become this number. And last 2 numbers are that it is very hazardous. If it gives warning, then it is 9. If it does not, like a dashboard, we also call it as OBD, onboard diagnostics. Then if there is onboard diagnostics is there, it is 9. And if there is no onboard diagnostics, then severity is 10. Okay. And similarly, detection. For example, your design control will not and cannot detect a potential cause. When you don't have that confidence in design, then it is 10. And you have full confidence, design control will almost certainly detect a potential cause, that is 1. Okay. So this is one example of a team. You can take roll cage, suspension, steering, brake, transmission, and then do the design FMEA. One method is to put all those 3 columns at the end so that you can easily multiply them, or you can keep it where it is in the table. And then what are the recommended action? And those recommended action has to be transferred to DVP. Okay. So you can do design FMEA, you can do process FMEA. Process FMEA is like bending, welding, assembling, use of fasteners, all are part of process FMEA. Or you can use another format, something like this, where you write vehicle dynamics, brakes, transmission. Under vehicle dynamics, there are different parts. You can do design FMEA of all those different parts. Or you can ask the team who has designed suspension to do suspension FMEA, ask the team who has designed brake to do brake FMEA, and then combine them all into one. Okay, so that was all about design FMEA. Now we'll talk about DVP. The output of design FMEA, the recommended action, becomes the input to DVP. So are we building it right? What are the costs if those parts fail during the event at site, then you lose a lot. But those parts fail when you're doing a trial, then you can do the corrections. And if you fail at site, then you lose everything. So it is good that you get early failure. Jaldi failure hota hai to acha hai because you can take corrective action. Okay. So you have made a vehicle and you just run for 10 kilometers and you think एक भी failure नहीं हुआ, हम ज़्यादा नहीं करेंगे नहीं तो fail हो जाएगा. ऐसा मत करो. आप ज़्यादा रन करो, fail होने दो. जितना fail होगा उतना आप correction कर सकते हैं और फिर during the event उसका failure नहीं. So the validation process includes validation plan, validation review, validation methods, and validation report. Validation plan is you make the entire plan कि क्या-क्या हमें टेस्ट करना है, acceptance criteria क्या होगा, standard क्या होगा, कितनी बार टेस्ट करना है. मुझे brake test करना है, तो probably I will do brake test 5 times, and maybe I'll do it on a different road surface. Concrete बहा वाले concrete में भी brake test करवा सकते हैं. कच्चे रोड में भी ब्रेक टेस्ट करवा सकते हैं. तो I will try everywhere that whether all my 4 wheels are blocking simultaneously or not. That is a very important DVP for you. So that will all come under a plan. Review means आपने एक बार DVP बना दिया, somebody has to review कि इसमें कुछ miss नहीं हो गया. For example, your maximum speed must be less than 60. वो डालो. Braking distance must be less than 8 meters. तो वो भी डालो. So somebody needs to review this and say, yes, this is now a thorough DVP. DVP may have 100 points. You may not be able to show those 100 points during the virtual PAHA, but you yourself must have at least 100 points. Then the validation method, brake test कैसे करना है? जैसे आप एक वीडियो देखा कि एक white line डालना है टायर के ऊपर. Each tire you can put a white line, so when the lock happens, you can see all 4 lines, right? So what is the method and whether you are going to use a stopwatch or whether you are going to use a tape to find out the brake distance is less than 8 meters. All those equipments you need to know, and the test procedure also. Whether you want to start the vehicle, whether the vehicle must go in top gear before applying the brake, whether the speed must be less than 40 kilometers per hour, or I can start in first gear and apply brake. Is that allowed? You must understand all that thing and decide the test procedure of the brake, which may be given in the rule book. You can take it from there, or there may be a standard on how to do a brake test, or you can create your own standard based on your experience. And then you do all those testing. Once the testing is done, you prepare a report. So report cannot be in just one word. So you have done 5 brake tests, 2 times it has failed, 3 times it has passed, the analysis of that. What did you do so that it has met the requirement? All that can come in a report. So that report can be 1 page, 2 page, 5 page, right? So that is report. But you then in DVP you can just write the report number. So if I show you the format, then come back. Yeah, this is the thing. What component, that is suspension, steering, brakes, whatever you want to put here, you can put. Or you can say maximum speed, maximum acceleration, braking distance, and all those things. Then what is your target? So target has to be quantifiable. Target has to be quantifiable and measurable. If it is not measurable, then it will not come here. You must know how to measure it, and it has to be quantifiable. So if you say my braking distance while applying the brake, when the vehicle is running in top speed at 40 km per hour and then apply brake, it must be less than 8 meters. Then it will, this 8 meter braking distance will come here, right? Or you can have an acceptance criteria. If it is say up to 9 meter, I will accept, or if it is only up to 8 meter, I will accept. If it is less than this, it is accepted. If more, then it is rejected. I need to do something. Or all 4 wheels must lock simultaneously can be the acceptance criteria. Then what is the test method? So I said you can write down your own test method, or you can refer rule book number so and so, rule book page number so and so. or the article number so and so can be your test standard. Or if there is an AI standard, automotive industry standard, which is available on AI website or doing a brake test, you can add that. Then what are the equipments you are going to use? So you are going to use a stopwatch, you are going to use a tape, or whether you are going to use a transducer. All those equipments should come here. And whether you will do brake test 5 times or 1 time, that will come here. Then when will you do it? When will you finish it? And if record, who will do it? And then remarks and report number. Now here, suppose your brake test, you have decided that the braking distance must be 8 meters. And you have got achieved 7 meters. Then you have to write here 7 meters. And you can write report number 1, and then you can attach a separate report of 2 pages. This will all the details will be there. Clear? So report number will come here when the data is very high, and the main point will come here. The main acceptance criteria, whether it is met or not. So don't write yes, it has met, or no, it has not met. If it is yes, then what is that distance? You write 7 meters, 6.5 meters, or whatever. Similarly, maximum speed, acceleration, all those numbers will come in that second last column. Let's go back. So there was, I told you what is the difference between verification and validation. So when you do any verification while designing, maybe you use a software like in HBA, you use what is that? GT Power, or in ABA, MBA for phase 2, you use IPG Carmaker. So usage of IPG Carmaker or any software or any simulation software or CA analysis of the roll cage is called verification method, right? And actual physical testing when the vehicle is ready is called validation. So that is the difference between verification and validation. Okay, fine. And there can be different way. Validation can be based on static or dynamic testing. It can be based on analysis, use of software, inspection methods. It can be a visual inspection like a technical inspector does during TI. Compilation of relevant scientific literature or study of historical evidence of similar design. So you can say, okay, I have talked to COEP and their braking distance is 6 meters, so mera bhi 6 meters hona chahiye. So that can be one way of it. So then examples: worst case analysis of an assembly, fault tree analysis of process or design, failure mode, FMEA output, package integrity test, testing of material, comparison of design to previous. So you have purchased the roll cage material, but the person who has given you the roll cage tubes have not given you the certificate. Then you can get it tested in a vertical slab and use that certificate. Okay. So step design validation is early stage validation. Concept design reviews, build one prototype, perform design verification, that is use some software, evaluate and verify prototype performance, that is the validation which you use in DVP, resolve performance concerns, build one more prototype or do all the repairs, and then sign off the design. Then you can say we have done 500 kilometers, no failures are occurring, whatever failures were occurring, we have changed the design, we have changed the component, and now my vehicle is free of all failures. Okay. So basically you do the design analysis, and then you do the physical testing. That is the completion of the validation. So generally, more when you use especially the electronic items, you use this V shape of design verification. So you decide your targets, you decide your subsystem targets, and then make those components, design those components, make those components, then do subsystem validation, physical validation, then do the entire vehicle validation. And that is how whatever voice of customer you had, whether you have satisfied the customer, whatever regulations or rule book designs were there, you are satisfied and you have a certificate for this, and whatever business needs you have, those are also improved. So your V shape has to be fully completed. Here you plan and here you test. Okay. We already saw this and some examples. So in conclusion, I would say output of compilation of failures, that is things gone right, things gone wrong, all you put them together, use them in design FMEA. So output of lesson learned is input to design FMEA. Output of design FMEA is input to DVP. Output of DVP is input to revised design FMEA, those last 4 columns. And output of revised DFMEA is input to your confidence to clear the technical inspection and win the dynamic. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah, please. Mic, use the mic.
Sir, if the before the virtual round our buggy is not ready, then sir the physical validation, how could we do that?
So you keep those parts blank. That means you saw that table. You have to make the table of DVP.
Okay.
But the testing is not done. The last 2-3 columns is not filled up.
Okay. But sir, my question is we can at least define what procedures will be following once the buggy is made.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. That DVP table, you define what test you are going to do, what are the acceptance criteria, who will do, when will you start, when will you end. But the results, the last 2 columns, that is report number and the result, you keep it blank. That is okay.
Thank you, sir.
But if you have not made the vehicle and if you put those data, then the judges will understand you are putting it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Nibande sir would like to add. Sir.
Short information which I would like to share. Generally, DFMA is done in 2 processes. The first part is as predicted part of it. What likely failures will happen. So you decide the RPN number, and based on the RPN number, again you correct it because you have taken care in the design, anticipating the failures, which area you have protected forward, and you have made it sure that this will not fail. Is a basic analogy behind this. Subsequently, when the testing will happen and adequate number of hours or number of kilometers which is clocked for the vehicle, after that if you find anything is actually failing, so that is what DFMA. If it is fails, yes, we have to do the postmortem and then do the correction part of it. But anticipating this is the area likely, like I would quote the example of wheel hub. Wheel hub is never going to fail, but the connecting linkages where the weakness of the design is likely to get loaded with, and that is most likely to fail. So looking forward for those kind of a strengthening of the component is the intention of DFMA. So make sure that this DFMA and post-processing of it when it actually fails is correlated. So RPN number in first phase, RPN number in second phase is always looked at it, and as you rightly pointed out, your testing might not have started. So I'll come back to you when I'm addressing the next part of it. Thank you.
Sir, my question.
Yeah.
Sir, can we place our previous values in the current vehicle DFMA?
Yes, that is what you have to do. So that is the input to your design FMEA. That will be helpful in defining the occurrence.
But for the current vehicle, if I complete my manufacturing, how should I decide the severity and occurrence ratings?
Yeah, so severity is very easy. That in case this fail, suppose in case the brake test fail, then my severity is 10.
But since I'm in manufacturing part, how can I decide it, sir?
No, the severity is not based on the actual severity. It is an assumption that if the brake fails, what will happen? It is very severe. So you give 10 out of 10 in severity. So severity is based on assumption that if this part fails, what will happen, or based on somebody's experience. Clear?
Do you have any past experience? Do you have any past experience? Your team participated earlier.
So if they have recorded such failures, that should be considered for the giving the higher number. If there was no failure and your design is almost similar to that, probably your number will be low.
That is why design FMEA has to be done in a group. You use the experience of all the people, right? Even you can get a person from a driver from other team also. So in industry generally they get consultant from outside who help them to find out these numbers. The number is decided jointly. So एक बोलेगा 4, एक बोलेगा 5, एक बोलेगा 6, and you take the average. Yes.
What is expected in report numbers?
if a particular test is done, then you can, जैसे आप कॉलेज में प्रैक्टिकल्स करते हैं तो एम, एपरेटस, ऑब्जर्वेशन, कैलकुलेशन करके 2 पेज का रिपोर्ट बनाते हैं ना, तो वैसे अगर आपने कोई टेस्ट किया है तो वो आप एक ऐसे उसका एक रिपोर्ट बना सकते हैं 2 पेज का। वो रिपोर्ट तो यहाँ दिखेगा नहीं, तो उसको नंबर दे दो, रिपोर्ट 1 2 3 4, तो वो रिपोर्ट नंबर वहां लिख सकते हो। दैट कैन बी annexed to the DVP. So that is what industry do. They do, various people will do various tests, and all those will be compiled by one person, a validation engineer, and he will attach all those reports at there. So whatever 1 or 2 number he can put, he will put it in the previous column. Otherwise, the report number is not there. Whoever wants can go into detail to find out how. Suppose you have made some mistake in the report, in the test. आपको वैलिडेशन टेस्ट करना बोला है और आपने बोला और आपने प्लेन रोड पे कर दिया, तो जो रिपोर्ट पढ़ेगा, तो बॉस अगर रिपोर्ट पढ़ेगा तो बोलेगा ये आपने गलत किया था, फिर से रिपीट करो। So that report is useful if somebody wants to go detailed into it and to understand whether the test performed is correct or not. So thank you very much. We will now have the next speaker.
Thank you, Aura sir, for being such a guiding light to the students. I would now request Mr. Sanjay Nibandhe sir to please come on the dais and raise the occasion. Mr. Sanjay Nibandhe sir is an thank you, no need for introduction as such. I would request Dr. Neha Jain ma'am to please come on the stage and gift Mr. Sanjay with a sapling.
Good morning, guys. The first and foremost thing, Gora sir has asked you one half question. I will complete that second part of it. Why your vehicle is not ready so far? Why your vehicle is not ready so far? Do you understand the timeline? Those who are MBHA participants, how many of you are MBHA participants for Indore? You know the date when you want to complete your vehicle? That's what I asked you. Then nobody raised your hands. Who has completed your vehicle was the first question. Only 2 people are saying that the vehicle is complete, means one team is maybe ready. Now I will tell you the timeline, why it is important and how one should look at it. Now, what is your target? Those who are completed, just can stand. One person who raised the hands, can you stand up? Either you are not getting me or you are not attentive also. Okay. So, what is your target? What is your target to run the vehicle?
Approx 400 to 500 kilometers.
400 to 500 kilometers. If I ask you the question, how many DVPs you are going to cover it?
Almost 5 to 8.
Okay, 5 to 8 DVPs you have pointed out. Fine. So completing these 5 to 8 DVPs, how much time you predict? How many number of hours you need to drive the vehicle? How many number of days you need to continue for the driving?
3 to 4 hours per day.
Okay, and how many days?
And it's 40 to 50 days.
40 to 50 days. It's a big challenge. Today, if we work backward, sit down. Thank you very much. If you look backward, this is one of the mechanism what industry used to apply. My launch date is fixed. My day of participation is already fixed. I don't have a choice for it. And I know for sure my process lead time for validation is something like 40 days. Let us assume that it is 30 days. So whatever the time taken for transporting vehicle from my place to the Indore event site or maybe a Hyderabad event site, how much time I should predict for it? Transportation, at least 1 day, at least 8 days, whosoever is coming from the other side of the country. So if we look forward for that 7 days is already earmarked for a transportation. And prior to that, my vehicle should be available for me for at least 30 days. Means December has already ruled out, right? So if I'm supposed to give my exam, the time given to me for exam is decided by university. So what is the timeline for university exam? Little bit louder. December last week, somebody says November end. So looking at that different timelines, when do I complete my vehicle? It must be ready in this month. If the roll cage, engine mounting, chassis, and whatnot, wheels, steering gearbox, everything should be ready by this time. So what message you need to convey to your team members? You can right now connect with them. Make a hurry to assemble the vehicle. This October month is the high time when vehicles should be ready for this. Whether you cladding, do the complete cladding, whether you do the proper routine of the electrical wiring harness is not important. But if you have to test the vehicle, this readiness is very much required. Sitting ergonomics, which we are going to see now, all those things are taking little bit time. But the first and foremost thing, when you start running the vehicle, it will always, the errors will reflect as a failure. If design error is there, if manufacturing error is there, if assembly error is there, wherever it tries to create a friction, wherever it is trying to create extraordinary forces, the linkage will fail, joints will fail, hardware will fail. If I wrongly select a material, still my failures will occur. And in all such consequences, whatever I am trying to see that, I should not do only a tick mark attempt. DFMA done, design review done, vehicle assembly done. Finally, what we are going to get out of it? And I know for sure, I'm very much sympathetic with you. But what we as a student need to learn as a project management. And this project management is a big task. If we have decided to participate in any event of BAHA, we must allow to work ourselves very hard for at least 6 months. Not the way what we write our university exams. Sorry to say about it, but most of you get connected 1 week before for the exams. You open the books, you start reading, complete your reading. By the time one book is ready, second book you start looking into it. So you have everything into your head with all of mix. This very specific requirements for a project management is you have to dedicate your time and see that proper justification is given for each and every element of activity. I'm not saying activity as well. I'm saying element of activity means each and every step we need to follow with the process part of it. And that's how most of the students are fail when they come to the event site. Their vehicle is still not assembled. They keep on running for the parts. They don't have a spares. So there are several reasons for it. Now, first and foremost thing I would like to make a note about it and give your messages to your students. As soon as you go back tonight or maybe tomorrow, please collect them, say them, yes, we have to work hard and whatever the time is available before our exams are there, we must make sure that vehicle should be ready by this point. If you do not decide, better you not participate in this event. If you have to do, we have to do for a complete understanding. If you don't want to do, then this is not the game for you people who can mitigate the challenges. Sorry about it, but it's meaning for it. Lots of understanding, we have to take it forward. If we have to work as a project part of it, and industry works day and night for the simple reason, whatever they want tomorrow, their demand is yesterday. It is expected to be completed yesterday, not tomorrow. Please make a message in your mind very loud and clear. They don't work, it is always backward integration. It is always said, this delivery date is supposed to be 100% mitigate. So I have to make sure that it has to go in the right time. And if I do not know the process lead times, I am the biggest fool out of it. If I don't assemble the vehicle, if I don't do the procurement, if I don't make the chassis, material is, somebody says here, I was listening to it, still they don't got the material. भाई जो मटेरियल अवेलेबल है उससे चासी बना लो, उसका काम करो. By the time you get the right material, if you sleep for 3 months and you don't get the material, what are you going to do that? I know for sure somebody will ask me, sir, we are the first time assemblers, we are the first time participants. I don't have engine. Engine is likely to come in the month of December. Was it not known to us in the month of July when we decided to order the engine? Yes. So start looking for the alternative engine from the other teams who is not likely to participate. There can be some MBAHA teams who can have that engine available. And for EBAHA team, there is a very loud and clear message. You don't have a different date target line because your vehicle also need your complications for EBAHA is much more higher than IC engine. So please don't be under impression that this I'm not telling for you. It is equally important for EBAHA teams. By the way, how many of you are MBAHA participants? Nearly about 30%, 40%. Okay, so remaining people should also keep in mind both the timelines are very much important for all of you. So do or die, this month end, MBAHA and EBAHA vehicle has to be assembled. Month of November, you start practicing, but practicing with 2 hours maximum, 3 hours, whatever best you can do. But do not drift your focus from your studies because your parents will be asking all the time that you should score well. So study is equally important. Whatever nighttime study you are doing it regularly, start doing at least 2 months in advance. Same thing, start with the vehicle practicing definitely by 1st of November and keep in writing your notebook or whatever mobile noting you do it. If our team cannot do that, we are the biggest fool in our country that we cannot complete our activity for now. Write down today itself if you cannot do that. So giving the lighter part of it, importance of time management is very much important. Including the event in March needs much more practice. Why I'm telling you, for any corrections on EBAHA vehicle, always try to give the short circuit. Always try to give the BMS not working, controller not working, and this problem resolving is much more complex than mechanical problems. So please try and understand the nitty-gritty of these activities. And if you want to be a successful, please try to decide today itself and overcome all these activities, anticipating whatever failures which we learn through DFMA. My vehicle is not ready itself as a big DFMA. What the point? Okay. Now, another point of view, my always submission to all of you, in your team, there are only 2 drivers. Probably 3rd person is a captain and 4th person is a vice captain. These 4 people are always responsible only for completing the vehicle, taking it to the location. So distribute your work. Including the driving work has to be distributed by all of you. I'll tell you a very simple trick for it. Simple trick is make a mandatory sheet, check sheet with all 25 numbers people and make a calendar for 1 month. and assign the timing of different hours. The first person will drive in the morning 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. He spend only 1 hour for driving, and one more person accompanying with him. Similarly, second person will drive after that 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. These are the 2 hours dedicated in the morning. So 2 people will complete that activity. Maybe in the afternoon you got a time, so you start driving again after 5 o'clock when your college and other activities are over. So 5 to 9, you start making another people responsible for it. And each and every 25 people will drive the vehicle. Why I am asking this? In most of the cases, I could see other than driver and a co-driver or second driver, nobody drives the vehicle. Whether a fatty person can sit inside, we don't know. Whether the tall person can sit inside, we don't know. What size and shape of the vehicle we decided, we are not aware my team can get accommodated into it or not. So, if I tell you, take the vehicle from Bhopal and go to Delhi right now, any vehicle as per your choice, you can take very easily the market vehicle availables which are there, and if you know the driving well, you can easily reach out to Delhi, maybe in 8 hours, 9 hours, whatever the time taken for that matter. What it indicates is 8-9 hours drive, one person can easily do that, means his sitting postures are much comfortable. He is accommodated in such a way that his leg movements are free, his hand movements are free, he can have a sufficient space between the pedals and the position, steering and the position. Then his H point is one of the mechanical term. H point measurement, which happens for the sitting posture, is taken at such a level that any encompassment won't happen for him. I'll tell you what it happens means. But his understanding is he is all the time safe in the vehicle and he can definitely drive for more than 3-4 hours, so he can make a short while break and then again go back for a driving, and within 8-9 hours whatever he wanted to reach, he can definitely make sure that. In Baha vehicles, what it happens? Driver is trying to accommodate himself in a much more difficult way, and others people cannot sit in. The leanest and I would say the shortest fellow can drive easily, but the medium-sized person or hefty-sized person cannot sit in the car. We should change that understanding. And importance is each and every human organ is very much important for all of us. So looking at that, what are the things we should look forward? Let me tell you through the ergonomic part of it. Ergonomy is a such critical component which directly relates to your comfort. And if this comfort is not there, probably you may not like your car. So looking into it, what are the things which has to be seen into? Yes, this is. So is this not working? Probably. Okay. Can we switch on the lights from the top so that people can see very easily? Okay, thank you. I think it's a better now. Vision. Okay, okay. So looking at driver comfort, I'm still doubtful with the cell capacity. If you have the other pointer, please take it out. So driver comfort is one of the important part of it. Safety of the vehicle, optimized performance is a part of the outcome, and enhanced control, reaching out to the controls. Today, our Baha vehicle do not have many more controls. But in other ways, you may have to operate your musical system, you may have to operate your windshield wiper, you may have to operate the positions of the gear shifter. So all those things comes into picture as a part of enhanced controls. I think it's not possible to give you clear understanding through the pointer, because on this screen it's not showing me. So what is ergonomic, and what I was trying to tell you that this is the H point. Probably you may read it, you may not read it. but this is the joint of the legs and that portion of the person, which is treated as the fixed point out of it. And from this fixed point, your leg position is defined, your head position is defined, vision of field is defined, and how you can see the vehicles which are coming on the road from the other side. All these things are very, very equally important to see the effect of it. Here, one point is we written down here 95 percentile of the person should be considered for it, and that is what rule books ask for it. In American standards, they have defined 95 percentile male dummy, 50th percentile male dummy, 5th percentile male dummy. This percentile comes from the average size and the standard defined for it. If you want to study all those, probably you can focus on a SAE standards 119. But today it is out of question. So look into that percentage. You need to define as 90th percentile male should get accommodated very easily. And that's how I'm trying to say that within the team, at least you try to see that everybody gets accommodated very easily and drive the vehicle. So there are certain distances which are given in the rule book. I'm not going to repeat it, but at least sidewall, which is protecting yourself from your perspective of the shoulder blade. Minimum 3 inches is required, which probably most of the students meet here. But another dimension is also asked, like 6 inches is required from the head point of it. After your helmet, the top roll cage point should be minimum with 6 inches. Similarly, you have to have minimum sidewise clearances for the panel which goes running around the length. Should be minimum 3 inches above the level. All the corners are supposed to be wrapped. Here is one catch that we never follow the steering distance. Can you see this corner picture? Steering wheel clearances with respect to your chest is where minimum requirement is 7 inches. Most of the students I could see, they sit in a position that their chest is almost close to the steering wheel. What it happens, if suppose, I'm saying that yes, Baha is a safest portion which we are trying to look into, but in case if you mitigate like front collision happens with the other vehicle, what will happen? As a first and worst experience, steering column will intrude to your chest. The wheel will try to put a pressure on your chest, and that's how the new regulations in India has been brought into that crash worthiness of the vehicle is equally important for all of us. And you are going to do that crash simulations also. Am I right? So these dimensions are equally important. Revant, I would request you to make a note of it and make the checklist which has to submit it along with our design report. So make sure that this will get published, and Rafiq will definitely, Dr. Rafiq Agarwal, who will be doing that analysis, please make sure that this is part of the inclusion. Let them have the understanding of measurements and submit that report along with your design review. Okay. So this is how different angles has been set. Probably I would suggest if you can put this presentation on our Baha forum also, let them have a proper study about it. Fine. So I'm not going to repeat these angles, but various angles for the hand holding position, leg position has been defined. And these positions, we must ensure how much is the measurement for us. Even though it is a learning part of it, I would suggest that we must do that. And these different angles which has been given here are predominantly requirement for the ergonomic considerations. So this is optimum postures, rapid upper limb assessment, that is analysis done by the software. When you do CATIA work or solid model work, these features are available with the softwares. Similarly, rapid entire body assessment (REBA) is also available with CATIA software. Please try and do that when you are doing the FEM part of it. So this analysis, the risk level has been given So this should be a part of your design reports. Now, when you are trying to do steering wheel clearance, how you can measure, that has been shown here. Similarly, driver to helmet distance has been shown here. Sidewise leg clearances with your pedal position. Now here you can see the mistake. The person has put your leg, his leg, to the end portion of the frame. The nose portion which is there, he tries to put it there. One of the important points which I am again and again repeating in most of the design reviews, since you do not use or you use centrifugal clutch systems or CVT, you normally try to shift your brake on the other side. In a nutshell, in any of these car designs, it is never taken to the left side. Because your position of leg, how you apply the braking, the right forces, right position is not taken into. Theoretically, you remove the pedal position from accelerator and then go for a braking. Even though clutch is there or not, you normally follow the pattern of all three together. For that matter, you can shift the steering column. The uneven distances for steering column is very much possible. You can change the length for the shafts, propeller shafts. Okay, so try to do that, keeping the central portion of the brake if you do not have the clutching systems. Try to do that. That is a right engineering approach. What one can do, yes, I can manage, but वो जुगाड़ वाला काम करने वाला है, तो हम मैकेनिक क्यों ना बने? हम इंजीनियर क्यों कहना है अपने आप को? हमें तो जरूरत है ना इंजीनियरिंग करने की, बेस्ट इंजीनियरिंग करने की जरूरत है। आज जितने भी कॉलेज के मॉडल्स बनते हैं या व्हीकल्स बनते हैं, वो सारे क्या हो रहे हैं कि इंजीनियरिंग नहीं हो रहा है उसमें। And that practical approach we need to incorporate into our life. More importantly, industry or customer cannot accept you on that level. So please try to bring it in your mind that I have to work better way. And what best I can do it, I must decide for it. Okay. So taking into clue, let's go ahead. Again here, ankle angle has been shown, field of vision has been shown, prototype chassis angle has been shown, the knee angles has been shown, hand holding positions shown, and steer motion has been shown. Steering also generally, steering returnability is one feature. In a car, normal practicing car, you can see the, if you give the right side 15 degrees turn, it will automatically revert to the reverse direction 15 degrees. If you turn it to 45 degrees, the steering will allow to freely go, come back to the original position, so that center portion of the steering will always remain there. So these are the logics which have been followed in OEMs when they manufacture their cars. But try to see and learn those things in the first go. This is the opportunity for you to learn. I will leave it to you what you want to follow. But important part is learn about it and how right from the starting of it one can do this assessment and make sure that the entire assembly sequencing which you do is following with the complete rule book guideline. This is a video which has been shown as assembly part of it. Probably this can be easily available on YouTube. I don't think you need to copy it, but it's up to you. If not, probably Baha management can help you out to make it available also. It's not rocket science. So wherever you have the joints, you must doubly ensure that they work properly. Because the definition of joints means the movements are allowed from that joints perspective. What are the directional forces which comes applied? Let us assume that, and actually the load path which we have to decide, we must make sure that things are not interfering with. Okay, so that's all from this side. So what is vehicle integration? Assembling all those parts together is a vehicle integration. And considering of each and individual movements, if it is rotating, if it is oscillating, if it is bounce and returns, if it is pulling in one direction, if there is a chances of it, I'm just trying to tell you, if the vehicle is to be pulled out by the say marshals at the event site, then your front end of the portion will be with toe hitch, it will be pulled out. So all these areas, how the movements are protected and sufficient gap is given between the two parts. If nothing has been specified, I would advise you to minimum maintain 25 mm gap. Maximum 50 mm gap is very much desirable, but if in case the joints are coming very close and dynamically there is no relative motion, 25 mm is a good adequate at one point of time. Make sure wherever is the rotating parts or the oscillating parts, it is definitely required to be 2 inches or 50 mm. Why it is so? Your failures will minimize by that way. The joints will be more safer by that way. And consent, whatever the consent which we can observe, can be very much cleared by that way. The clearances will help you to maintain the distance. If you do the digital mock-up like what I have shown you, is the first part, and that will help you to analyze, provided you have sufficient time. If you are comfortable to do that, your CA team or those who are a design people team who can do that, 1 or 2 persons can teach the other team members also, but that is one area which is desirable. And finally, validation. Focus of validation I would like to stress upon, and I will not pull out much of time. What is validation? Do you know something happens very uniquely in case of Apple? Anybody from your observations? What happens in case of Apple? You must be aware about, Apple is the company who launches good quality desktop, then I would say small tablets, then there are many Apple devices. What is the uniqueness with them? Little bit louder. But compactness is another part of it. One uniqueness. I would continue. You want to say something? No, it's okay. So I will not spend much time on it. Every year, September, the date is also fixed for them. 5th September, they launch new product. And that is a company strategy and policy. Why they do that? People are eagerly waiting what is the new product which is coming. Apple iPhone 15 was launched on 5th September. If you go back the history, last 10 years, you can find every year there was one product which was launched. It means their preparedness is 3 years before. The product is tested for full and final testing at least 6 months in advance. And that's how companies work. In our case, festive time is the best important time. All OEMs decide to introduce their vehicles in the month of maximum, in the month of August or September. The readiness, availability of the vehicle, booking started, and festive time, Dasara and Diwali is considered as the highest selling months. So they launch their products in the market. So people can always decide, yes, I want to go for a new car. I will buy it in the month of December. I will buy it in the month of October. When the Diwali is normally there. Because it makes the manipulation of joy along with the family during the festive time. Similarly, the auto shows also happens, which is a guideline, which is a given as a showcasing of your demonstration of your products. That happens in the month of January, invariably, every alternate year. Why alternate year? That's the lead time for the process. They have to make multiple products ready, and by December they kept everything ready so that their vision for the future, their ready products in the market, they can showcase it to the people, even though somebody has not noticed during the festival time. And that's the reason each process has got its own lead time, own considerations. And validation is equally important for that, because your product needs to be at least, I would say, for a perfection matter, 100%, but if not perfected, at least 98%, 99%, 99.5%, it should be through with all the problems which has been taken care of. So why it is being said so is products are tested to the fullest life, products are tested to the worst case criteria, products are always tested to misuse and abuse, which can be done by people. So as a customer, you don't expect that what he has to follow with, but customer will try to definitely auto follow वाला वो 5 लोग जिसमें allowed है 3 लोग इसमें allowed है उसमें 5 लोग बिठाने वाला ही है. All of you can understand Hindi na? Yeah. So looking into that kind of a phenomena, you have to always consider that abuse part of it. Considering all those things, I would say you can at least manage to point out minimum 20 DVPs. Somebody says 5 or 6, but I can just yesterday also I give you one example out of it. You have fuel tank of 4 liters. 4 liter, if I drive in the morning, successively every day 4 liter is filled up and I'm driving the vehicle, 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers. You can see the variation of consuming the fuel in number of hours, number of kilometers. Somebody will drive it within 3 hours. Somebody will drive it in 1.5 hours. Somebody will drive it in 2 hours. So there is a big variation in the data which we can already observe. So if my driver is still changing one variable, that is the speed. I'm driving at 30 km, I'm driving at 40 km, I'm driving at 50 kmph, I'm driving at 60 kmph, that fuel consumption pattern will change. Now imagine the situation when you are into a dynamic endurance day, when you are into the endurance testing, the driver who is trying to run the vehicle, he has already started take up the role and he started flying the vehicle. He don't know what point of time he has to come back for a fuel refuel. Right? Yes or no? I think I should stop because we don't have any response system. What should we do? Quickly stop? Guys, please at least respond. I'm not sure that nobody is going to come and tell you like this kind of things which are happening over here. There are some people who are sleeping like, see the lady. They have very important task to sleep about it. See, why we spend the time? What we gain out of it? 0 paisa. Why we spend our 2 days over here? Because our enthusiasm. What we thought about it, people should learn something out of it. The good experience should be a product of aha. Finally, I will just convey and close it because I have no influential system to drive for you. But it is all you have to drive by yourself. Is how many good testing hours I can clock for. So as I told you one example, similarly each and every person will drive initially for half an hour, 1 hour, then make a clock so that you can continue to get a complete driving, and only driver is not fatigued to that way. There's another part of it. You can find it out after half an hour driving, what is my sitting position, how much I am getting paid. So you will better design for a driver who is supposed to drive it. So try to do that. And simple message to you is as more people drive it, companies also do that. They give it to the market for this potential finding it out. And that's how they can make their vehicles very much robust. So my say to you, target for 500 kilometers in the month of November and December. And any correction which has to go with will help you to overcome with the spares, with the right quality parts, right design parts, rightly assembled parts. One more area is there in the integration. I'll always tell you, The torquing, how much torque we applied for a nut, it is not lesser than desired. It should not be more than desired. There's also one of the consequences which we have to face about it, because otherwise it may start failing. And people do integration study for the torquing system. So I'll go to that. This is the overall integration areas. Then I would say this is the picturized for the power plant area. We have seen the clearances between each components, engine, CVT, roll cage, the dampener movements, shock absorber movements, linkages connected with that. See why I'm running quickly? Because this is in our blood. This is in our blood because I spent more than 40 years into this, defining all those requirements for the various companies. So, if you want to go to that level, it must reach to that understanding. Fine. So, digital mockup is also shown over here. All I talked about it. Torquing pattern has been shown here. And hardwares. Which is a hardware we are supposed to use it? Anybody? Good guys, you should be certified for non-study. Class 8.8 is somewhere written in the rule book. Have you come across this class 8.8? Thank you very much. So I will stop my lectures before. But go back and study that. What is 8.8? What is other classes? Why we should use 8.8? Why we should not use 8.8? All this is believed to be taken as a learning for Baha. If you don't want, still I am thank you for you. This is how the talking sequence is important. How the sequencing has been done. One opposite, 180 degree opposite 2, then oriented with 90 degrees again. So 3-4 sequence is given in 90 degrees. Then fourth position is again closer to the 1, fourth and fifth, sixth and seventh has been ordered in such a way that it is essentially required to follow because of the mechanical tightening systems helps you to maintain the torque. If you do randomly, probably that torquing may not happen. The force which is applied on the component which is to be clamped is not uniform in that case. And that's how we have to define what torquing has to be done, torque gauges has to be done, and what we should do is a best practice of engineering. Should be at least learned. Whether you follow it or you don't follow it, I leave it to you. Okay, so first pass, second pass, third pass. There is also full torquing to be done in the sequential manners, and that's how it happens in the industry, if not at quality. This is how volting system has been defined. I'm running a little bit fast. Main reason is importance to be noted down. If you want to learn, yes, there's availability of chance to learn about it. If you don't want to learn, still it is okay. You will not be considered as a good engineer, and better we should not participate for Baha. But what I repeatedly said to Baha teams, because in their CVs normally they write, I have done this, I have done that, and this is my Baha participation, but they actually don't know what you want to know. And all this is one part of it. Although sorry about it that my experience allows me to talk, otherwise other people will not talk like this. But this is very, very important part. What engineering is, best logical sequential continuation of the process which has to be followed. Thank you. Any questions? We can close it in another 2 minutes.
Any questions?
सर मैं ये पूछ रहा था जैसे इंटीग्रेशन इज इम्पोर्टेंट टाइम एंड वी हैव टू फॉलो द टाइमलाइन सर लाइक ये वर्कशॉप हो रही है सर इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें सिखा रहे हैं सर एक मार्केटिंग के ऊपर भी वर्कशॉप हो सकती है क्या? बिकॉज लाइक वेंडर से कैसे कांटेक्ट करना है, कैसे डील करना है, इसकी बहुत ज्यादा सर प्रॉब्लम्स होती है बिकॉज वेंडर्स आर वेरी स्मार्ट. They fool us a lot of times. They tell us wrong timeline that this time your products will be delivered, but they come late, like 2-3 weeks late. Like regarding this, if any workshop can be conducted.
No need of workshop. Common sense is the best part of the engineering. And when you get any promises from your suppliers, you need to doubly cross-check for it. Write specifications in the first phase. Write study. Right specifications, right demand, and whether he is giving you assured quality is to be doubly checked. Now, deferring of the time management is again Indian mentality. So, if I say so, you have to factor another 8 to 10 days for a delayed part of the supply of the components. Beyond that, any marketing tools are there or not? I'm not a marketing expert, so I will not comment on that side. If Dr. Ora would like to comment, he may talk about it. But beyond that, how to get a commitment and how to get a timeline delivery with reasonably expected time is another technique by itself. So, Dr. Ora, would you like to talk about it?
Yeah, I understood your point. You are saying that you give order to vendors and vendors don't supply on time, they fool you. See, life is full of fooling. Your girlfriend will also fool you. Your parents, you will fool your parents will fool you. So this is all part of the life. So vendor से कैसे काम करना, हम सब्जी लेने जाते हैं तो भी तुम्हारा चेहरा देख के वो बोलेगा कि 20 रुपए किलो है या 200 रुपए किलो है. So ये तो होने वाला ही है. Yes, we have received lot of complaints from vendors. Some vendors are known to us, so we receive complaint. We try to talk to the vendor also. So if there are any complaints, you can put it in the forum. But you will only look full के उसने आपको बुद्धू बनाया उल्लू बनाया, right? So you have to be careful here. You have to be doubly cross-check whether you give him 50% initially, you give 50% afterwards. वो जो भी करना है वो आपको ही करना है, हम कुछ हेल्प नहीं कर सकते. हाँ, स्पॉन्सरशिप लाना है तो कैसे लाना है उसके लिए चाहिए तो हम एक प्रेजेंटेशन रख सकते हैं. But these are all skills required for life. That's all. And the best thing is you are learning through this experience. So you will get full, you will learn through that experience. Next time you will be more careful. Okay, fine.
सिंपल तरीका है कि आपके जो पास पार्टिसिपेंट्स है जिनका आप एक्सपीरियंस पहले से फाउंड करते जाओ, और कोई ऐसा बंदा है जो सप्लायर आपको टाइम पे नहीं देने वाला है, उसके डोर पे जाके बैठो. थोड़ा खर्चा होगा, नो डाउट, बट इट इज बेटर देन डिलेड द टाइम. कल बोलो उसको मैं आने वाला हूं आपके घर में, मुझे कोई आपसे एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं है, मुझे मेरा मटेरियल चाहिए, कल आपने नहीं दिया तो मैं आपके घर के सामने बैठने वाला हूँ, आपके शॉप में आके बैठने वाला हूँ. दे दो ना धमकी, क्या फर्क पड़ता है भाई. ऑफ द रिकॉर्ड प्लीज.
को बोल दूंगा नेक्स्ट ईयर आपसे लोग नहीं लेंगे, ऐसा बोल सकते हो. Fine. I think many of you are feeling sleepy, so let's stand up. Because everyone to please stand up. We'll do a small exercise. So, everyone, touch your fingers, and then try to touch the sky on your toes. Your toes, they go in the
एडिट करो भाई, एडिट भी करो, नहीं तो मैं जो बोलते जा रहा हूँ सब आप पब्लिश करोगे. लाइव जा रहा है. हाँ सर, लाइव जा रहा
है. Did you like this exercise? Then we'll do one more. One more time. Stretch, 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 relax. मेरी गारंटी है आपको चाय पीने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. We skip the tea time and we continue with the next lecture. Is that fine? Okay, okay. After this lecture, we will have tea time. So please declare the next person.
Thank you, Mura sir, and thank you, Sanjay sir. Your kind words of wisdom will definitely take the students to greater heights. I would now like to request Wasam Sharma sir to please come on stage. We will be welcoming a special guest that we have today with us, Dr. Amit Arora, Associate Professor, Galgotias University. So could we please have you on stage? I would now like to request our next speaker, Mr. RUTURAJ Patil, to please come on the stage. Mr. RUTURAJ Patil, he's the Product Development Engineer at CC Tech Pune.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Good morning. Feeling energized? Yes, thanks, Gora sir, for for the exercises. But anyways, yeah. So I'm RUTURAJ. Okay, so right now I'm going to take a session regarding virtual dynamic events. Okay. So in today's session, we are going to majorly focus on the submission process, okay, and the SOP that you guys need to follow during the virtual dynamic events. We have released like videos regarding how to develop a vehicle model in IPG Carmaker previously on the forum, as well as we have conducted a live training in the month of September, which details much more on this in regards to this. So today we will majorly focus on the path ahead right from October, okay, until the virtual dynamic event. So everyone over here aware of what events are there basically in virtual dynamic events? Yes, anyone? Which events do we have this year? Nobody knows about. So everyone is from here is from new team or old team guys are also there. Can you raise old team guys? So which events do we have this year? Sorry. Okay. So are you aware of the point distribution? What is that? Okay. So the total points that have been assigned to virtual dynamic events this year is 125. Okay, so 50 points for maneuverability and 75 for all-time performance, that is 80. Okay, so the reason why I am starting with this is each and every vehicle has its pros and cons, right? So it might happen that your vehicle is majorly focused towards steering, right? The vehicle performs very good under maneuverability and these kind of events. The steering is very well parameterized and optimized for tight maneuverability, right? So according to that, you need to ensure that you focus more towards maneuverability. So so you will only have like a couple of days between the track release and the test and submission. Okay, so in this span of 2 to 3 days, you'll need to basically add the maneuvers and you need to submit the test result. So over here, it is very important that you have pretty good idea about your vehicles and you know on which event you want to focus primarily. Okay, so it might be ATP or it might be maneuverability based on your vehicle's pros and cons. Okay. Okay, so this year the minimum system requirements for IPG Carmaker are spanning from i3 to i9 Intel as well as spanning from Ryzen 3 to Ryzen 7 in AMD system. Okay, so just ensure that you guys are using these systems only for IPG Carmaker 11.1. Okay, so this year we will be using IPG Carmaker 11.1. So teams need to ensure that they have downloaded that version only. They don't have something else. So I'll just like to ask one question. So how many of you guys have downloaded the software? Please raise the hand. Okay. So are you aware of the version? So everyone has downloaded 11.1 only, right? So you need to ensure that you do submit the test runs using that version only. So the reason why I'm highlighting this point is that this year you will need to submit both of your test runs, that is maneuverability and alternate performance, using the same system, either Intel or AMD. Okay. So over here you're seeing option one, right? Okay, in which what teams can do is that they can submit maneuverability on AMD and the alternate performance on Intel, right, or vice versa. So this option is not allowed basically. Okay, so teams shouldn't do this. The reason behind this is that IPG Carmaker performs differently on AMD. The testers will perform differently on AMD, and they will perform differently on Intel systems. Okay, so what do I mean by performing is basically the lag times will change, or even the simulation nature will only change. So it might happen that if you, for example, submit Intel tester, okay, and you don't specify that it is run on Intel, and if that is run on AMD system, then it will most probably crash. Okay, the simulation won't finish properly. There will be an error. Okay. So teams need to ensure that they don't follow this kind of a strategy where they are using one system for ATP and one system for maneuverability. Okay, the thing that we are recommending teams, the option that we are recommending teams is to do both ATP and maneuverability on either Intel or AMD. Okay, this was also specified during license issuance phase. Okay, so yeah, so teams need to ensure that this option is followed. Okay, so coming on to the submission process flow. Okay. So right now we have released the workspace setup guidelines. We have released the IPG Carmaker guidelines. Okay, so these guidelines are good enough for the teams to parameterize their vehicle models. So how many of you guys have parameterized the vehicle models? Only one thing. Okay. और किसने किया है? Guys, come on, show some energy. How many guys? Please raise your hands. How many? 3, 4. Okay, बाकी लोग ने नहीं किया बिल्कुल भी. Sorry. Yeah. So guys, I'll like to highlight this point that it has been, I think, so more than a month that we have released these guidelines. So you need to ensure that you complete the vehicle model, like your vehicle model parameterization by October end. Okay, the reason behind this is that after this stage, there will be the vehicle model submission stage, which is on 10 November. Right? So it is on 10 November and the test and submission will be on 18 November. Okay, so the submission process flow that the teams should follow is that basically they need to first set up their workspace, right? So has anyone read the workspace setup guidelines that we have released?
You have gone through it properly. Yeah. So teams need to ensure that the workspace setup should be done according to the guidelines. The reason behind that I'll come on to a bit later. But after workspace setup is done, so you need to create the project folder in that manner, and after that you need to create the vehicle model inside the project folder. Okay. So what is this compliance exactly? Right. So compliance. So anyone knows what's the meaning of compliance? Yep.
Multiple things working together.
Anyone else? Any guesses? Right. Good. So it basically means like meeting the standards, or in this case, in the case of Baha, it will be guidelines in the rule book, right? So so you guys need to comply to IPG Carmaker guidelines 2024 as well as the rule book. Okay. So in virtual dynamic events, we also conduct a virtual technical inspection. Okay, similar to during the phase 3, you guys have physical technical inspection where the build quality, the safety, the vehicle is inspected from that aspect. Over here, we inspect it based on the constraints, whether the teams are following the constraints that have been laid upon them by senior, right? So teams need to comply with this with these guidelines. The reason why I'm highlighting this is because if you guys don't comply, okay, you will be penalized. So this is something that will be done, and it has been done since last 2 to 3 seasons. And if I'll also discuss a bit more on what what kind of parameters we are judging, but so this is something like this penalty will be kind of a considerable points. Okay, so it will happen that even if you, for example, do everything the right way, you have very less lap times. But if your model is not compliant with the guidelines, you'll be penalized. Okay, and it might lead to getting a score of 0, right? So the total 175 points, 125 points that we started with initially will be lost. Okay. So so after compliance is done, so meeting compliance will be kind of an iterative stage. You need to go through the guidelines from each and every page, and then need to ensure that like you won't receive any penalties as such. Okay, after that you will have your vehicle submission, before which the virtual dynamic event guidelines 1 will be released. Okay, so the virtual dynamic event guidelines 1 will detail out the process on how to submit this vehicle model, what SOP to follow. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, the vehicle model submission deadline is 10th November. Okay, so is that clear? So how many days from now? Maths आता है ना इतना? बोलो यार जोर से. Okay, so very less amount of time is remaining. Okay, so the teams that haven't even started or haven't completed their vehicle model need to do it as soon as possible. Okay, and preferably before October. Okay, so that you guys can do simulations on the test tracks that we have released, and based on that you can create a strategy on which events you need to focus on, and the whole how good your vehicle model also affects is also an important parameter, but the skill of giving good maneuvers, okay, is extremely critical, and that is going to make the lap times very less. So after 10th November, we'll be releasing virtual dynamic event guidelines 2, which will have the tracks. Okay, so these tracks will be the ATP and maneuverability tracks, on which the teams need to add maneuvers and create a test run. Okay, so the deadline for test run submission is 18 November. Okay, so is it clear? So you can see that there's very less amount of time between both the stages, right? Vehicle model submission and test run submission. So over here, you need to have a team that is very fluent, that is very well versed with how to add maneuvers in IPG Carmaker and can get it done between 1 to 2 days. Okay. So now this year we are introducing something new in the submission process flow. Okay. So after 10 November, teams will receive a communication from Bias India whether their model is accepted or not accepted. Okay, so this wasn't done until last year, but this year we are introducing this. So in this status, if for example you don't get you get a status of not accepted. Okay, so then you will need to resubmit the model, and that resubmission deadline will be 12th November. Sorry, 13th November. Okay, so more details regarding this will be mentioned in the virtual dynamic event guidelines one. But you guys need to ensure that you don't get that not accepted. You are not categorizing that. You're not basically your vehicle model submission is not classified as not accepted. The reason behind that is so what is the not accepted criteria? Any guesses? Not complying, non-compliance is not one of the criteria. Any other guesses? Okay. More? Any others? Okay. So the reason why we'll tell the team that your model is not accepted because the model is parameterized in a wrong way. This might be one of the reasons. Okay. Then so everyone is aware of what sensors are in IPG Carmaker. Okay, so guys, we can continue like this, or we can make it a bit interactive. Okay, so these are a few issues that you guys are going to face during your submission process. So you want to know those in advance, right? Yes or no? Or you want to lose all the 125 points, right? So now what is sensors? Anyone aware of that? Okay, let's start with a very basic question. Okay, yeah. Can Mike?
It takes physical input and gives electrical signals.
So yeah, I'm asking about what is sensors and IPG Carmaker, not the actual side. Okay, so anyways, so let's start with the basic question. How many of you guys have actually read IPG Carmaker guidelines? Nobody has read. Nobody has read IPG Carmaker guidelines? Okay, so do you know what sensors is in IPG Carmaker? Can you oh my.
सर बेसिकली हमने अभी तक आईपीजी में जो बाहर ने प्रोवाइड किया है टेस्ट है उसमें हमने सेंसर्स का भी इतना यूज किया नहीं है अभी हमने सिर्फ आगे उसमें हमारा व्हीकल मॉडल कैसे वर्क कर रहा है और हमारे जितने डेटा है वो वैलिडेट कर रहा है कार को वही हमने अभी तक टेस्ट किया है
So I'll just brief about what sensors is. So sensors is something that will be used to calculate your lap times, to calculate how many penalties you guys are getting. Okay, so it is very critical. So it is not just something that you basically add in the model. This will help you to tell on how good will you score, how many points will you score in the event, how many penalties you will score in the will you get in a particular event. Okay, so did you understand what sensors is? At least, so how many of you guys have worked on IPG Carmaker? Like only 2 to 3 people or more? Okay, so I like everyone to go to IPG Carmaker today, and if you guys don't have the licenses, tell your teammates and check the sensors tab in the main GUI. Okay, over there you need, this year we have two types of sensor, that is road sensor and collision sensor. Okay, more details regarding that I mentioned in the virtual dynamic event guidelines. Okay, these sensors are mandatory, and if, for example, some team doesn't add this, usually their score won't be logged. So that is the reason why their submission will be not accepted, and they'll need to resubmit, and they will be penalized. Okay, so this was just one of the reasons. There are a few others also which I've mentioned in detail in the guidelines, virtual dynamic event guidelines also. So so if your submission is not accepted, you will be penalized. Is this clear? Okay, so after that you will have 3 days. Okay, once the feedback is given to the teams, you will have until 13th November to submit your vehicle model. And once your vehicle model is submitted, then it will be considered as the final submission. Okay, it is just for the not accepted team. If a submission is accepted on 10th November itself, then that team doesn't need to worry. So you guys need to ensure that you fall into the first category, that is accepted. Okay, otherwise you will be losing valuable points of the event. So after 13th November, we'll be releasing the virtual dynamic event guidelines 2, which will have the tracks. Okay, and after that you will have 2 days to 2 to 3 days to do the this testing. Okay. Okay, so as I mentioned something earlier, the first thing that you guys need to ensure is workspace setup, right? So over here, you guys can see the folder structure, the subfolder structure, and the file name, right? So this same structure has been mentioned in the workspace setup guidelines. So how shall your workspace be? So I think you had read it, right? So can you just give one example on what should be the file names or something like that? Yeah, you can speak like this only. Where's the mic?
Yes, I have given the names as my team ID 24074 Team Aryan and the name.
Okay.
Means what specific do you want me to explain?
Okay, for example, how the chassis folder workspace setup should be.
Means if we create the project folder by our team ID and team name in the interface section first of all, then we can go to the, if we put it in the C drive, then we can go in there and CM projects, one folder appears over there, and in that we can see one data subfolder. Inside the data subfolder, we have all those sections named chassis, vehicle, movie, and in that we can create our new folders with our team ID and name.
Okay, so what's your name?
Shivraj Sanjay Kumar Patil.
Okay, thank you, Shivraj. So that was a good answer. So this is what is expected from you guys, okay, from all the teams basically, that you guys need to know this basic stuff. The reason behind that is that only this, so this we have mentioned already in the guidelines. So teams need to follow the same structure. So for example, inside your project folder, you will have a chassis subfolder, right? So in this, you will have, you need to rename the, you need to create one more subfolder, that is team ID underscore team name underscore chassis inside your inside the subfolder, and inside that your MBS or SKC file should be present. Okay, so this is an optional submission, the chassis folder, only for the teams that are using MBS editor or IPG Kinematics. Okay, so but besides that, for example, you are using PIC files also, right? The image files. So you will also need to rename them as team ID underscore team name, like .png, file format. Okay, so the reason, any guesses on why this is, why we are mentioning this? Sorry? Right, absolutely. So, agar you guys don't follow this, right? What will happen is that your model will be misinterpreted as someone else's model also. It might happen. We ensure that it won't be done, won't happen, but basically it is difficult. For example, if Shivraj is there, right? So I don't know who Shivraj is, right? And virtually if he submits it under some other name, okay, so for example, boy, something like that, then how will I understand who is Shivraj and who is boy? So it's basically like a identification criteria for your vehicle models. Okay, so it will be easier for us to identify your vehicle models, and the correct models will be utilized. Okay, so everyone needs to follow this. So whoever is working from your teams on IPG, you need to ensure that they are following the structure. Okay, so this is clear? Okay, so moving on to compliance part, right? So I mentioned earlier that we do some virtual technical inspection. So in that we have kind of like two parts. Like one is hard penalty and one is soft penalty. So hard penalty is the one that we basically check the compliance with the IPG Carmaker guidelines, and soft penalty is the compliance that we do with the design spec sheet that you guys submit. Okay, so everyone is aware of like we have told that all the parameters that are present inside your vehicle model and the parameters that are present inside your design spec sheet should be the same. Everyone is aware of that? Okay, so what are these penalties exactly? Like sorry, when will this penalty be levied on to you guys? So for hard penalties, if for example your engine inertial values are something different. Okay, engine inertial values we have specified in the IPG Carmaker guidelines. So for example, you tell those add some different values. So over here, what you're doing is basically you are manipulating your engine parameters so that you get like performance benefits. Right. So if that is done, you'll be given a hard penalty. So these are just a few of the parameters that will be considered inside for this type of penalty. And similarly for EBA also we have, for example, motor voltage and these kind of parameters. Okay, so all these things have been mentioned inside the IPG Carmaker guidelines on what these parameters should be. Okay, so the hard penalties will be majorly focusing on the powertrain part. Okay, both for EBA and EBA. Besides that, trim load will be there. Trim load is basically your driver weight. Okay, so moving on to soft penalty. So in soft penalty, what we'll do is basically we'll compare, as I mentioned earlier, we'll compare your models with your design spec sheet that you have submitted. Okay, so everyone is aware of what is design spec sheet, right? So that you need to submit in your design document, right? So we'll compare the values, your vehicle model values with that. Right? So for example, like the low ratio of the CPT that you are mentioning is something different in the spec sheet and the car model. Okay, so for example, you mentioned 4 as the ratio for CVT in the model and as 3 in this spec sheet. You guys have just gained a penalty. Okay, yeah. So everyone clear on what is virtual technical inspection? Yeah. Okay. So I've also mentioned that basically the vehicle model will be compared with the guidelines, 2024 guidelines for hard penalty and with the design spec sheet for soft penalty, right? Yeah. So so now I mentioned earlier that the teams might get a score get a score of 0 even if everything is right. So for example, you have gone haywire in these parameters. Okay, so for example, you have entered the engine off speed, the engine data set that we have shared, like for example the torque and the power values. You have entered it according to your whatever you want. So you will be getting a hard penalty. So and in this, if all the hard penalties, all the parameters inside this category, if the team is not complying to any of them, the penalty that for each parameter you will be getting is such a considerable amount that your overall score will go below 0 for hard penalties. So basically, your total score will be 0. Okay, so is this clear? So कितने लोगों को hard penalty चाहिए इधर? Nobody wants it, right? So please pay attention on this. Okay. Okay, so just ensure that you comply to IPG Carmaker guidelines. Okay. Yes. So coming on to vehicle parameterization. So how many EVA teams are there? Jaldi. Show some energy. Okay. So anyone aware on what change we have done in regards to EVA this year? Have we made any change in the guidelines? Can you like detail exactly what battery specification or regarding that?
Context IPG or?
Yeah, regarding IPG. Yeah.
So, sir, last year in battery specifications, sir, the main SOC and all that were not like इतना डिटेल में नहीं था पिछले साल. इस साल तब कुछ पूछा गया कि आपकी इनिशियल SOC कितनी होगी. आप अगर आप बैटरी शॉपिंग यूज कर रहे हो तो फिर आप कितने में उसको फिर से चार्ज करोगे, वो सब इस बार नया है.
Yeah. So like this year we have added more focus on battery parameterization. So in this year we are focusing more on what is the influence of SOC on your voltage, right? So this checkbox. So last year this was not mandatory, but starting this year this will be mandatory. Okay, so in this you will basically need to tell the voltage factor. Basically, it is the influence factor that SOC and voltage are having. So you can see this graph that is plotted. So in this manner, the ideal voltage of the battery will change after on the SOC values. Okay, so for example, at 62%, the voltage will drop by will be multiplied. The ideal battery voltage will be multiplied by 0.875. Okay, by a factor of 0.875, right? So basically, the ideal voltage will decrease, and this is particularly very important for the green efficient event. So this year a new event is also introduced, that is green efficient event. So everyone aware from EVA in regards to that? No one is aware. Okay, so EVA ki teams like so I'll just tell you what the importance of green efficient is. So anyways, anyone from EVA, can you just like tell what is one of the biggest issues that you might face during endurance race? Yeah? Battery dead. Yep. So basically, you will run out of like the battery will drain out, and you might basically get stuck at some position in the track, right? So in regards to this only, so that the teams can predict when they need to swap their batteries, right? So for this reason, especially the green efficient event is introduced, in which the teams will basically simulate the vehicles for vehicle range. Okay, so I like to tell you guys, like, please go through the green efficient guidelines once. Okay, that is extremely critical for your range modeling, and it will help you guys to create a strategy for your endurance event also. Okay, yes. So this is something that is mandated this year. Okay, there are no changes as such on the EMBA part. Okay. Yes. So vehicle submission. So I mentioned the project folder earlier, right? So this is the how your project folder is going to look like. Okay. So inside this, these are the main folders. Inside this, you need to create these subfolders. So for example, the movie team ID underscore team name underscore movie should be present inside this movie folder. Okay. So this subfolder should be present inside movie folder. Okay. After this, you need to save it in a project folder. The name of the folder should be team ID team name. Okay, and you need to basically compress it and submit it. Okay, so vehicle submission process is clear up till now. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So in regards to tracks, after your submission status goes to accepted, okay, so we'll release the tracks, and in this we'll release two things: the movie folder and the road file. Okay, so the movie